Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to spend the next couple of half an hour to an hour with you, and I'm just super pumped. There's been so many questions that have come through, and this lady needs no introduction. It is Marie Forleo, guys, the founder of B School and Marie TV, and she's with us today. I'm so excited.
Oh,
Now,
I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. This will be my 4th year doing B School, and the reason why I keep coming back is because I learn something new every single time. And I just want to personally thank you for creating such a beautiful space for us to grow and learn.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's our heart and soul. We love it, and I'm so thankful for this time to spend with you. I'm so grateful that we have so many questions, and let's have some fun.
Awesome. Now, we only have a limited time with you, so let's dive straight in. I know the babes are dying to hear from you. So what are 2 of your biggest lessons in online business?
You know, the first one I think is that you have to have patience because things do take time, and I think that that is just something that's epidemic in our world today. You know, people are so used to instant gratification. It's like we can watch all of these shows and download them instantly, and we can get anything at our fingertips. And a truly sustainable business, honestly, it does take time to build, and you start slow and you build up that momentum over time. And I am an organic growth kind of girl. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years, and there's been a huge, level of growth in the past 4 to 5 years, but it's because of all the groundwork that I put in the beginning. So I think patience is one of the biggest lessons that all of us need to learn. And then I think it's also really important to always stay in touch with and stay on top of what's happening in marketing now. You know, business doesn't function the same way that it did back in the early 90s or back in the 2000s or even in 2005 or 2010 and 2015. So you really have to be flexible. You really have to understand the underpinnings of business, but you have to be willing to evolve and change with the times because the same things that used to work just a few years ago are no longer relevant today. So I think that flexibility and that willingness to evolve and change is key.
Yeah, I agree. Now, is B School worthwhile for someone who has absolutely no idea of the direction they want to go in, or is it better for somebody who already has a business? That's from Maxine, that question.
Maxine, I would say, and to everyone who has this, it's a really interesting question because there's honestly 2 ways we can go. I've had people join B School with absolutely no idea, but a very strong conviction that they knew they wanted their own business. They were so committed to the learning experience, to going on this incredible adventure, to trying out different things and testing and being willing to stumble and make mistakes and find their own way. And they've had amazing success, so much growth as a human being. And I know several of them have found their things, started their businesses, and they are profitable. And then honestly, we've had other people who, quite frankly, weren't that committed. They're like, I think I want to do my own thing, but they get into it and they realize, like, this is hard work. This is real work. This is deep work. It requires commitment and consistent action, and it requires me to find my courage, and it requires me to experiment. And quite frankly, they weren't willing to do it. So we've had both sides of that, but I will tell you that there's one bonus in B School that people get the moment that they register, and it's called Start the Right Business. And I made it exclusively for people that feel like, you know what, I really want to start my own thing, but I am stopped for one of 3 reasons. 1, I don't have any idea what I want my business to be. I just know I want to do it, and how do I find a really good, viable idea? Or 2, I have so many ideas, and I'm multi-passionate. How do I choose the right idea and know that it's going to work? Or 3, someone that has this little seed of an idea, and maybe they're just stopped by fear because, you know what, they're afraid to take that step, and they're afraid to look foolish, and they don't want to waste a ton of time and money before they know that it's proven and that it's going to actually work. So what Start the Right Business does is it gives people a system to think through and actions to take to actually find clarity, and most importantly, to get their idea from here out into the world, to test it and really find out, you know what, does this thing have legs? Do I want to do this? Does this match up with my financial goals and my lifestyle goals, my philanthropic goals? Is this really how I want to invest the next 12 or 24 or 36 months? And so it's a very structured process. It's challenging, but it really works. And so we do have that program as a preschool to B School for people who find themselves in that position.
Yeah, I love that. I am so grateful I did that 4 years ago because it really did help me.
Mm.
And that kind of ties into the next question from Katie, which was about my life's purpose. So for Katie, she feels really lost. So would you suggest with Start the Right Business for her as well?
Yeah, again, if she's willing to ask those tough questions and put down some answers and make some choices, and if she's willing to take action on those choices. There's something that I live by, and it's this idea that clarity comes from engagement, not thought. You could think about, wow, I really want to start this business that's all around health or nutrition, or I really want to start this web company, or I really want to be a dancer or a writer. And you could have these fantasies in your mind all day, but until you actually take steps and start making that happen, you're never going to know if it's the right fit. You're never going to feel inside your soul whether or not this is your path. And so it requires that you're willing to take those steps. So I'd say for Katie, if she is willing to experiment and have that courage and use that courage, that it could be great. But on the other hand, if she just wants to kind of sit back and hope it happens by osmosis, that's not what we're about.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carla's speaking about being multi-passionate, which you are, and I love that term so much. She's worried that if she has an online multi-passionate business, that she's a jack of all trades and a master of none. So what's your advice on that?
So there's a couple of different things, and this is something we go deep into in Start the Right Business. There's different considerations for all of us when we find ourselves having a lot of talents and a lot of gifts, and that's a beautiful thing. But it can also create a lot of stress and a lot of confusion and a lot of inaction because we just don't know which way to go. So one of the things you have to consider is your life stage, right? Where are you at your life, and what do you want? Would it bring you joy, and would it bring you happiness? To give yourself permission to test out a few passions, to really see, which one feels the best. Do I want to do this day in and day out for the next year or 2 years or 3 years? And is this business model or is this industry one that I want to be the best in the world at? And is it going to get me where I want to go in terms of my lifestyle goals and my income goals? So for example, when I was doing a lot in the health and fitness world, and I was teaching a ton of hip hop, and I was making all these fitness videos, and I looked at the people in the top of their field in that industry. They're constantly traveling around to conferences. They're using their physical body to earn their living, and you got to keep doing that. And I looked ahead and I said, you know what? That's not how I want my life to go. I really value freedom, and I didn't want to have to use my body as the tool to earn my living. When I'm in my 40s or 50s or 60s, I wanted to be able to write and to use my brain and to just talk and not have it all be about the physical presence. So I made choices based on looking out into the future and saying, well, what do I want my life to be like in the next 10, 20, 30 years? And I saw that in order to make the kind of global impact that I knew I was capable of making, and to make the kind of income and have the kind of freedom that were important to me in my life, that I needed to shift away from one of those passions in terms of having it be a revenue stream and allow it to just be a passion in my life. So here's one of the things that I'd say to all multi-passionate entrepreneurs. You do not have to monetize each of your passions. That's a mistake that can trip us up. So you can love all of these apparently disparate things, but you don't have to make them a part of your business model. What they can do is actually inform your brand and give you a competitive edge that sets you apart from everyone else just based on the uniqueness of your DNA. So for me, hip hop and dance, it all comes into what I do now, which is not really related to the music industry or even really related to fitness. But I draw upon those influences, and I draw upon the fact that those are very real passions in my life, and that helps fuel my online business.
Absolutely. And do you know what? I love that you say it's almost like if you've got all of these passions, like you go and test drive a car, like
Yes.
go and test drive what really lights you up from your core, and then, wean out which ones you don't, and then the ones that really do, buy it, go for it.
Absolutely. And the only way you know that is if you actually start to write things down and get clear. And that's the process that we take you through with Start the Right Business. So you can both use your intuition and your body and your internal knowing and your intellect and your ability to research and your ability to critically think and make decisions about what you really want for yourself.
I love that. Now, in regards to websites and marketing, how do you even begin to implement any of the advice without
Yes.
extra money behind you? Sam is worried that she doesn't have much savings behind her. So
Yes.
what would you suggest?
Well, what's really cool is that these days, some of the tools to get yourself an online web presence. So, for example, some of the things that we talk about in B-School, a really simple way to get something up is actually you can just do a landing page and a thank you page. We call them simple 2-page launch sites. And there's free templates that you can get online to do this. Now, of course, you do have to pay for hosting, but different companies have different versions. So I know there's a company here out of the US called Squarespace. They have very, very reasonable, like very small fees per month or per year when you're just getting started and it's small. And if you want to do WordPress, you can find hosting for as little as like $2 or $3 a month, that can actually just get you started. And there's other service providers like MailChimp, for example, an email list marketing company that I believe at this point it's either 2,500 or 5,000, but they allow you to have that many contacts for free just to get started. So there are so many tools out there that are either free or very, very inexpensive that allow you to just start, that allow you to get things going and test ideas and figure things out without having to invest any amount of money in some huge fancy website. So, for other people that are more advanced, we have other resources to direct you to. So we really take care of people whether, again, they're on a shoestring budget, which is exactly how I started. I was tens of thousands of dollars in debt after college when I first started my business. So I had nothing. I had to barter for my first website. And then we have other people. I was looking at one of our B-Schoolers today. She was in business for 22 years. She already had this multiple 6-figure business, and she used B-School. She's a bookbinder, so she does bookbinding and printing, and she took her business up to 7 figures, but it just shows you the diversity, and it's like it really matters what your attitude is in B-School because we have people across the ranges, and we're always looking to share tools that are free or almost free on a budget.
And I bet if we went back to your first ever website and even my first ever website, they look nothing like they currently do.
Oh my goodness, nothing. I mean, my first website was, I think, back in like 1999, which in web years, it's basically like the ice age from so far long ago. It's just kind of incredible. This is when like websites were new and ebooks were this completely novel thing, and an email newsletter, oh my god, that was like mind-blowing. No one had ever heard of it before.
But it's true, you've just got to start. You've just got to say yes to you, don't you?
Yes, and I think that comes down, that's a question that each of us have to answer. It's like we have to come to that place in our life, and each of us reach the point where we go, you know what? I am no longer okay with my life the way it is. When you show up to work every day and you're miserable or whatever's going on in your relationship or your personal life, it just comes to a point where you can't take it anymore. And I know at least that's the way that I felt. I felt like I was dying this slow death. And I knew I had potential in me, and I knew I was meant to do something incredible, but I was just so far away from it. And I said, the only way I'm ever going to make this happen is if I take a leap of faith. And for me, it was leaving a steady paycheck. It was turning down a huge promotion at Vogue, and it was starting my own life coaching business at 23 years old, which, my logical brain, I was rolling my eyes at myself going like, who the heck is going to hire a 23-year-old life coach? Like, this is nuts. But I couldn't deny how right it felt in my body and how much I knew that I needed to just take this chance because of, and I look back now and I'm so grateful that I did, and bartended and waited tables and I cleaned people's houses. I did all kinds of stuff just to keep a roof over my head and have food on the table so that I could figure out how to do this business thing during the day. And that's why really I love B-School so much, because I learned the hard way, and I have 15 years of doing this under my belt, from like group programs and selling fitness and selling a relationship book and all this different stuff that I've been through. And I'm like, please let me help you shorten the learning curve. Let me help teach you what are the real timeless principles that no matter what happens with all this fancy technology, these are the things that move people and that make a sustainable business no matter what you're selling.
Now, I believe B-School is the real deal. I love it, and which is why I keep coming back. But why would someone do this over an MBA or a university degree or another type of course?
That's a great question, and I think for each person it's different. I want to tell you about one of our students, Stasia Wimmer, and she is a single mom, and she was going through this period in her life where she had this this idea for her business, and she started doing some little talks about etiquette, and she wanted to build this business because honestly her daughter was incredibly bullied at school. And it was heartbreaking. And so she got inspired to start this business, and she was looking around, and Stasia didn't have any plan B. You know, she didn't have a safety net. It's like she has to take care of her daughter. She has to take care of herself, and starting this business was her way to do that. And she actually is a very critical thinker. She looked around at MBA programs, at graduate programs. I mean, she shopped all over the place. And one of the things that she told us about why she chose B School was because she felt like it was going to give her not only the practical information to get started, it was a fraction of the price of a lot of those other programs, and that she could tell based on all the information that we share that there was a risk-free guarantee. So if she didn't like it and she got in, which is, again, very different than oftentimes how much it takes you to apply to a graduate program, and then sometimes they can be anywhere from $50 to $100 to a couple $100,000 a year depending on where you are. And you don't really know if the people who are instructing you have done the kind of thing that you want to do, or if they're aligned with your values or your kind of soul philosophy. It's just all in a black box. So I think for Stasia, everything lined up for her, and she really felt it in her heart. And again, after looking at MBA programs and graduate programs and MFAs, she looked all around the board. For her, you know, the decision was B School. And to be honest, I have to tell you, Melissa, we have so many students who have PhDs and have MBAs, and they have come back, unsolicited feedback, and said, this is more practical and applicable than what I just spent all these years learning. Like, this is the real deal.
I couldn't agree more. And will B School help me find my ideal clients? That's from Trish.
Yeah, so, you know, the answer is yes and no, and here's what I mean by that. We're going to help you identify who your ideal clients are and certainly get clear, but you've got to do the footwork. You know, we can't serve them to you on a silver platter, and that's the truth for all of us. But it's so much easier once you know the kind of people that you're meant to serve, and you know the benefits that you deliver, and you understand not only their pain points and their frustration, but their dreams and their aspirations. So you actually can meet them from the space of compassion and service. And that's where it gets really exciting. And, you know, we've got lots of fun sheets in B School, different opportunities to brainstorm exactly where your ideal customers are hanging out en masse. But of course, like I said, you've got to do that legwork. You know, you've got to be the one picking up the phone. You've got to be the one to put yourself out there and make those connections. But do we help you identify that? 100%. Are we there to guide you and support you and brainstorm with you? Purely. Do you have to do the work? Yes, you do.
Absolutely. Now, Kate asks, I have a job, and you spoke about, a little bit about this before, and her job does not inspire her, and she's got to have this job, she's got to hustle while she builds her dream business, which, you know, you were bartending and things like that. How did you stay motivated and passionate whilst you're building a dream?
Two things. One, you have to have a really compelling vision in your heart. So I remember when I was behind the bar and I would clean everything up, and there was always this period of time where the bar is ready, you're not quite open for business, and everything is set and there's kind of nothing else to prepare or do. I would print out some of the order paper that you know, receipts would come out on, and I would take a little pen and I would jot down my ideas, and I would start to write down, like, I'm going to create this product, now I'm going to create this product, and I would literally stay so connected to that vision of where I was going, and I'd fill myself up with that. And then once the restaurant opened and bar customers would start to come in, or, you know, whatever I was doing, I trained myself to be so present and to engage in that job like it was the last thing I was ever going to do. Now, I knew I had just kind of connected to that future vision a few minutes before, but in the act of actually bartending, I made it a point to strive for excellence, because in any given moment, you're either miserable and resisting your life as it is, you're not going to perform at your best, you're going to be slumped over, you're going to just be energyless, and at the end of the night, you're going to think that your life sucks. Or you know that you've got to do something for a period of time because it's helping you reach that bigger vision, and you show up with your A game. You got a smile on your face, you're doing your best, you are practicing being the person who you know you can be. And I got to tell you this, Melissa, making that the habit of being present and fully engaged, because I trained myself in that. I had side jobs for like 7 years. No one even realizes that. When you train yourself and that becomes your discipline and your habit, you're amazing in business, because business isn't all glamorous. It's hard. The you know what hits the fan. Things blow up. There's problems. We hit roadblocks. We have stumbles and failures. And if you're not able to be present and fully engaged and bring your A game, you're never going to be the success that you're capable of being. So those are the two things that I would recommend.
Beautiful advice. And tell us about time management with B School. Like, how much time do we need to invest? And, you know, Crystal's traveling and she's just had a baby. What would you suggest for her to stay on top of it and not let overwhelm really set in?
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things. First, in terms of how much time it takes, this is not me being cagey. This is me being a realist. You know, when people tell you like, oh, it's only going to take you X amount of hours a week, it's a little bit of BS, and here's why. After training and working with thousands of people now, I've learned a few things, and here's what I've discovered. You can give one person, you know, a 7-minute video, right, and a little worksheet that comes after it. It takes them 7 minutes to watch that video. Sure, that's set. But some people, they look at that worksheet, they go through it so fast. They're so clear on what they're doing. They just, bam, download it, they go, and they don't even think about sending an email. There's no resistance. They're just like, I'm going to do this. Then you get another person who's like, you know what? I think I want to watch that video again. I think I missed a certain piece. So all of a sudden they watch the video again. Then they download that fun sheet. And they're scratching their head. They're not clear on their business. They're having trouble for whatever reason. They're like, gosh, I just don't know exactly how to answer this. Am I doing it right? And then once they do get clear, they're like completely insecure about taking action, whatever that next step is. Like, should I do some more research? And all of a sudden, what took someone 10 minutes takes another person like 2 hours or more. So the thing that I want to just share with people is that you're a B schooler for life. And it's both a program that happens live, meaning that we go through the live modules together, but it's also a self-study, which handles Crystal's question as well. We have so many people that go through the program and they're like, you know what? Oh my goodness, I just got proposed to and I need to go get married right now, or I'm having a baby and I need to hit pause. That's kind of the beautiful thing about digital learning, and especially about B School, is that once you have these materials, you have them for life. And even if you have to pause or go at your own pace, there's something that I drill into everybody, is that there's no behind in B School. So in terms of time management, all of us are in our own unique situations. You know, some of us have free time because we don't have kids, or perhaps we don't have a day job, and so all of a sudden we have these pockets each day that we can devote to learning and to exploration. And we have so many B schoolers who like have a full-time job and 3 kids, and so they've got to carve out these little windows. So what we always do, and what it takes me a lot of repetition, but I love it, to say, is stay in your own game. And one of the first things when you come in and you register for the program, there's a bonus. We call it the preschool to B school. It's the follow-through formula. And so we take people through calendar exercises and getting the overwhelm out of their head and really setting themselves up, not just for success in B school, but you've got to be an excellent manager of your time if you want to be successful in business. And so we do that. That's kind of the foundation before we actually get into the program. So it gives everybody a chance to set that for themselves.
And I think not comparing yourself to anyone else is really, really important.
It's vital. You know, we did a Marie TV not too long ago about, I was telling people, you know, in college when I turned 21, I'm a party girl, so I like to party, and when I turned 21, I did too many shots of this disgusting liquor that was called Goldschlager. It was just like one of those gross syrupy liquors that taste like cinnamon and had these little gold flakes, and it was horrible. And I remember the next morning I was like throwing up in the bushes. It was just bad. It was like those mistakes that we make when we're that age. And compare Schlager is like a different form of Goldschlager, where you do shots of comparing yourself to others, and you're like laid out for days. You can't move. You're like, I shouldn't even do this. Everyone else is so far ahead of me. They've all said it already. What am I thinking? It's like you're literally hungover from comparison, and it does sometimes take you days or weeks to recover. So again, we talk about that in B School too, because we've got people that are just starting out, don't have any idea, and we have people that are multimillionaires already. opportunity. The deal is, this is real life though, and if you can train yourself in B school to stay in your own game and to cheer on your own successes and other people's successes, you got a better chance as you get out there and you grow on your own to really be able to handle it.
And someone who's starting alone, how would you suggest they stay motivated? You know, it's just them and their laptop in their home kitchen table or their home office. How would you suggest they stay motivated?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a few things. I think in order to be an entrepreneur, one of the things that you have to be is somewhat self-motivated. You cannot depend on anyone else to do it for you. You have to have that drive and that hunger and that vision. And I think if I've noticed anything over the years between what separates people that are able to find success, both in B school and in life in general, and those who find themselves struggling, it's really that hunger and that drive and that willingness to wake up and go at it again, that motivation. But in terms of B School, I think one of the most special pieces of the program, you know, I've been spending hours inside our member area already because I'm having so much fun as people are getting into all the bonus material that happens before Module 1 is released. There's so much energy happening right now in B School. It's like people are asking questions, they're connecting, they're like, oh, this is my favorite tool for productivity. I've never even heard of that. There's so much back and forth that I think, you know, one of the great things about B School is that if you are by yourself, what you have is this instant connection to energy and other people that are on your path, and that you go in there and it's not just like a ghost town, that there's literally people. We have B Schoolers from 106 countries, 6 continents, 160 industries. So the diversity is amazing, and I think that energy surge is really what can give people a boost.
And everybody in there is like-minded. They all want to live their best life and create their business and life of their dreams. So it's like an automatic connection with these beautiful souls that you're just plonked into this area. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we take, you know, and for me, I will say this, I am very protective, and I've grown more so as the years have gone by, because maintaining a very safe space where people feel included and where they know that there's strong leadership, and especially this year, probably more than ever before, you know, I take a really strong stand for kindness and integrity, and we make sure that that environment stays that way, because that's the only way that you can learn. You know, there is nothing good that comes from any kind of negative anything, to be really honest. I mean, you can debate ideas, sure, you can critically look at things, that's awesome, but we do not tolerate anything toxic when it comes to drama, when it comes to negativity. It's just like, people can't move ahead, you can't learn, you can't grow from that stuff.
I agree. And now Danielle says she hates marketing and she feels gross.
Yeah.
Will B School help me authentically sell my products?
I will tell you, and I say this without shame, I could honestly not think of a better place or person in the world that if you are open-minded enough to change how you think about marketing and sales, meaning that you're willing to see it in a slightly new perspective, I will totally change how you believe, behave, and essentially execute on marketing for the rest of your life. That's one of the things I feel so strongly about, because marketing has gotten such a bad rap, and rightfully so. There's a lot of people that do it in a horrible way. You know, I kind of use the term douchey marketing because it just gives me like, oh, it's just so horrible, and it gets me quite angry, to be honest with you, because it gives ethical business owners and people that are world changers a bad name. And so part of my vision for B School is, I told this to someone else, I said, you know, there's unethical people in every industry, you know, whether it's doctors or attorneys or the entertainment industry or the art field, you know, you can just go across the board. But I think in online business, and specifically when it comes to marketing, it's just gotten a really bad rap. But what I want to do is help create this incredible surge of people that are transparent and honest and generous and actually care about the other people that they're serving and the rest of the world, so that we kind of crowd out all the a-holes and they can't even be around anymore because there's all of us and we're like, look, nobody's even going to fall for that crap. So to answer the question, yes, it will teach you how to sell authentically, where all you feel like you're doing is helping people, and that's really what marketing is all about. It brings out the best in your humanity, not the worst.
And I personally used to think marketing and networking were both dirty words, but, you know, B School has really taught me how to embrace it and do it with heart. So yes. I'm really grateful for that.
Awesome. I love to hear it.
Now, services versus products. Kim wants to know, will B-School be useful for someone who is starting a business providing a therapy service rather than selling online products?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's really funny, Melissa? It's so hilarious because I will hear people that have product-based businesses going like, oh, I think it only works for services, or people have service-based business, oh, I think it only works for products. And one of the things I want to say is that if you sell to humans, meaning you're not selling to robots, you're actually selling to human beings, B-School will benefit you because it's all about how do you make those truly authentic connections, how do you understand who you're selling to, what they want, what they fear, how do you create an outstanding customer experience and build real, genuine connections over time and have a business that's based on trust. So in terms of services and in terms of therapy services, absolutely. I mean, that's a no-brainer in my book.
And how will B-School help grow my list? Because Sam has small list shame. And will it teach me how to authentically grow my list? And that kind of ties into the marketing question before, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so, well, here's the first thing. B-School will show you the steps and give you a range of ideas, and you're going to have to choose from what I like to call the list building buffet. You have to choose strategies that really align with your strengths and that align for your business model and what's going to be really the most effective use of your time and energy. And only you can make those terms because there's not a one-size-fits-all in terms of list building. That would suck, and that would be really boring, and everyone would do the same thing. So apart from that, small list shame, we need to address that. You gotta be so damn appreciative and grateful. If 5 people have raised their hand because they actually care about your opinion and they care about what you have to say, you have to thank your lucky stars and drop down on your knees, because that's, all of us start from zero. And if you can't genuinely demonstrate from an energetic level and also from an action-based level how much you care about these people, you provide great value for them, you actually maybe pick up the phone and call them and find out what they're interested in, what they're looking for, that's the way that you actually start to grow. So a lot of this starts with the mindset, because if you're poo-pooing your list right now and yourself saying like, oh, I don't have enough people, and oh, they're not good enough, and oh, I just need more, that is the wrong space to come from. You're never going to get, even like from a universal perspective, when the universe sees you going like, oh, they don't even give a crap about what they have right now, do you actually think you're going to get more of it? No friggin' way. It comes back to that question in the beginning when you have your side job. If you're like poo-pooing the fact that you have work, so many people in this world would just love to have paying work. And if you're complaining against your job all day, there's no way you're training yourself to get more of anything.
Yeah. It's so true. And it's that never-ending thing as well. Like, you only have 5 people on your list and you want 10, and then you want 20, and then you want 100, and then you want 1,000, and it's never going to be good enough. And, I always say to my clients, you have 10 people on your list, you treat them like gold, and you just pour all of your love and your heart and your soul into those 10 people and just focus on them. Don't worry about, okay, I want 100 or she has 1,000.
Yeah, no, you'll get there. I mean, you take strategic action, you learn what's happening in B-School, you make strong choices, you test, you put things out there, and you will grow that, but you can't do it, and it's not going to be joyful, and it's not going to be fun unless you shift that underlying mindset.
Now, Amy's asked, how does Marie balance her work, partner, stepson, friends? She's worried that she won't have enough time, and she's worried about balancing everything, doing the juggling act.
Yeah.
So how do you balance everything, and do you have any advice on?
Yeah, I definitely have advice. Well, first of all, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a creator, you got to let go of this idea of balance. I actually think it's a myth for most of us, because there are things that just happen in flow. Like in this particular time in my life, it's actually ironic. This morning I took a spin class really early. Tonight, New York time, it's a dear friend, it's her birthday, we're going to see a Broadway play. When I first started launching a few years ago, meaning the first time we did B-School, B-School's in its 6th year, there's no way I probably would have done a spin class and been able to go to a Broadway show, because I was so crazy, because I was figuring things out. And I think, we have to let go of this kind of fear about, oh no, what's going to happen? When you get clear on your priorities, here's the thing. If something's important for you, you are going to make the time, and if not, you're going to make an excuse. Will you perhaps have to, slightly dial down your social activities? Yeah, maybe, depending on where you are in your life. You know, I have friends that go out constantly and they're like, I wish my business was ahead. I'm like, well, what are you doing? And they're spending like 30 minutes a day on it. I'm like, you're going to be in the same place for like 30 friggin' years at that rate. So I think people have to just get realistic. I think making sure you put yourself first. So you are your most important business asset. Whatever your practices are, whether it's making sure that you're fueling your body with something really wonderful in the morning, like a green smoothie or a juice or whatever your breakfast may be, making sure there's time for prayer or meditation, whatever form of getting centered works for you, making sure that there's some movement, that, you know, if it's a significant other or your kids or there's key relationships, and you can't have 50 of them, right? You've got to really make some strong choices. When you put those things first and also you communicate with the people that you love, like, hey, look, I'm doing this program, or for me, it's like people in my life know it's B-School time. They're like, hey, you don't have to come to the Oscar party. Dude, you need some rest. You're like going 24/7. So I think there's something about having a reality check with yourself, putting yourself first, and recognizing that it's always a flow. There's going to be seasons in your life where you're going to have more times for friends. There'll be times in the year where perhaps work, you know, is going to take a bigger role. But I think as long as you communicate with yourself and you always put your self-care first, you're going to be fine.
How do you on a daily basis fill yourself up?
You know, it varies. I'm very much in touch with my body, and I'm very honest about what I need. So there was like the past 2 weeks, there was so much happening with B-School, and quite frankly, you know, New York City right now, I know you guys are in summer, yay, summer, but here in New York, we're in the winter, and it's like New York City and the East Coast is like the frozen tundra. I mean, you know, I was looking on my iPhone and I saw like single digits, like, oh my goodness, this morning it was 7 degrees out, which is just, it's mind-blowing. So I knew that I was like, okay, I'm feeling a little down. And I will say, you know, I know not everyone can do this, but I said, I'm actually starting to feel a little depressed. There's a lot happening. I booked myself a plane ticket. Josh was actually out in LA, and I said, I'm going to LA. That's it. I was like, I need sunshine. I need to take care of myself. My body needs that fuel from nature. I need to like just have flip-flops on and get that for myself. And it, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal in New York and California. But I really try and pay attention. Sometimes it's dance, like a spin class. Sometimes it's working out. Sometimes I know I need to meditate more. So I'm always playing with those dials and always trying to really pay attention to taking care of myself. And it's not a consistent thing, meaning that it looks exactly the same every day, because I'm not the same every day, you know, and I'm not the same every month. As a woman, you know this. There's times where your body is just shifting and flowing, and you really have to kind of pay attention to what it needs at each moment.
And I love that you're so in tune with your body, and it's like you just drop in, you're like, what do I need right now? And that is key.
Yes, it really is. And I think that's the one thing that is another advantage in terms of, you know, if people are interested in B-School, it's like it's a very holistic kind of business program. Like, we're going to have spiritual conversations. We're going to talk about your body and your well-being. That is not separate from your success. It's not just like all these numbers and all these worksheets. We got to have the full person there, and that's what it means to bring more humanity in your business, because honestly, when you have more compassion for yourself, you have more compassion for your team, and you're going to be a lot more in touch with your customers. You're going to have better creative ideas.
And when you are overflowing and you are filling yourself up, you're exactly right. You have more to give to other people.
Yes.
Now, what do you think the main difference between people whose businesses after B-School flourish and whose don't? This is a good question from Victoria. What do you think the difference is?
So I really think that there's a few key differences. And if I had to boil it down, I would say number one, it's hunger. People who succeed, again, in B-School and outside of B-School, but talking about B-School population for this minute, they are hungry. They are the people that are just like, you know what? I hit a door. I hit an obstacle. Okay, I'm going to go around it. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to come back again. Second thing is their attitude. So they don't look like, or they don't believe that anything that is a stumble or that it didn't go well, they don't take it as though they're a failure. They don't take it personally. You're like, okay, you know, that didn't work out. Okay, that's a bummer. What's next? What else can I try? How can I get back in the game? So there's hunger, there's the attitude, and I really think that there's consistency. That's the big deal. I mean, so many people that I've watched, they kind of come on strong with all this excitement, and then they fizzle out before they finish. You know what I mean? They just drop off and they're like, oh, that's too hard, I can't do it. And then 6 months comes by and then they're like, okay, I'm going again. And they're like coming on super strong for like 2 weeks. And then they just shot their load and they're gone. And so I think that there's something to the hunger that is just that fire inside, that you want to make a difference, you want to change your life, you want to change the lives of the people around you. I think there's that attitude that, you know what, everything is figure outable. I got this. Clarity comes from engagement, not thought. Even if what I try doesn't work, what can I learn from it, and how am I going to pivot and move on again? That's what all of us have to do. And then that consistency where they're in it for the long haul. They're not just like, wow, my business didn't work, it's 3 months. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, no, dude. Like, we have people in the program that have joined the program. They were in business already for 22 years, dude. 22 years, and they took it to the next level. So those are 3 things that I think really separate the successful folks from the folks that they're still having some struggles.
I love what you said, and I personally think just consistency, putting one foot in front of the other every single day and just doing little things each day are going to move you toward the business and the life that you love. Like it's like you said before, it's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter. And if you hope that it is in B School, then there's a little reality check.
Yes, please do not think that B School is a magic bullet. B School is a shit ton of work. It really is, but it is the right work. It's the work that all of us have to do, that I do. We come back to in the business. We're working on some new projects. We're like, okay, who is the ideal customer for this? Fleshing it out, like actually using all of our own principles and ideas. And it's not easy. It isn't easy, but it is so worth it. It's so worth it when you see those results and you see people's lives change and you feel like you're coming to work every day doing something that you were born to do, and you're willing to just put in that work and you're willing to get the results. It's incredible.
And that's exactly why I have come back year after year after year, because I get so much out of it. And we are constantly growing and evolving and changing. And if we're not kind of checking in at least once a year with our business and going, okay, well, how's this working and what's happening here? Like it's not going to flow and it's not going to grow to where you want it to be.
Yes, and Melissa, I also want to point something out to you, and maybe for some other people who would find this interesting. There's a little additional exercise. There's a whole new video in Module 1 that I'm super psyched for you and everyone who's been through B School before to hear, and of course for our new B Schoolers, about really setting a new vision and really getting clear on the purpose. And then there's another worksheet that I think is going to be great for you about a little profit clarity reality check and really doing some analysis about where the money is coming in from your business, how much time it's taking, the level of joy that it brings you, so you can really start to move around those puzzle pieces to make sure that the actions you're taking now are helping you reach that larger vision that you want to get to in the next 2, 3, 5, or 10 years.
I will definitely be jumping in and doing them, that's for sure. I'm going to be doing the whole course again alongside my B Schoolers who sign up for my unbeatable bonuses. And by the way, the members area looks incredible. Like, whoa, holy smokes, you have just taken it to a whole new level. You've gone above and beyond. And I was just like snooping around going, oh my God, look over there, look over there. There's just so many things. So I'm so excited to dive in.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time, we listened to feedback, and that's one of the things too. I think that there's also a lot of learning that happens, a ton for us, but there's a lot of learning that happens even from going through B School from the lens of like, what can I learn from how this happens? We're constantly trying to up our game. We're listening to feedback. We're evolving things. We're trying to make it easy for our customers. And so there's so much that you can take away even from our interactions that can inform your business. And I think that that's always a fun way to look at things too.
Oh my gosh, I am so inspired to get started. I can't wait. And for those people who are sitting on the fence, no matter where you're at in your journey, whether you are just starting, you have a seed planted of your passion, or you have been in business for years, just take that next step. And whether you sign up via me or somebody else, it doesn't matter. Just do this for you. Like, this is such an investment for you, and know that you're worth it. You're worth investing this time and this money into you, to creating your business and the life that you deserve. And no one's more special than anybody else. We all deserve this. And you've just got to really own your worth and go for it. Take that step. Sign up for my bonuses, and I'll hold your hand throughout the whole process. And I'm going to be donating a percentage of my proceeds to Destiny Rescue, which is an organization really close to my heart. So if you want to do that, do it. Just whatever you do, just do it. And it's not going to be around for another year. B-School's only once a year. I am so excited, and I'm so grateful that you have given us your time today, Marie. What you're doing in the world is just mind-blowingly inspiring, and keep going. And thank you so much for being here with us. Like, my heart is like bursting with love and gratitude for you.
Oh, well, same thing here. Thank you for everyone for listening and for being with us for this time. Hopefully that it gave you some inspiration. I know Melissa's bonus is incredible. Every year we hear how much your people love you and love B-School and going through it with you. So thank you for that. And everyone, we're here for you. And Melissa, thank you for having me on and giving me this time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and sending you so much love to New York. I hope you stay nice and warm.
Yes, I'm heading out to California soon, another week and a half. Bye, everybody.
Bye, thank you.